glasses.
And let me tell these guys they have to stop talking.
Is that another host to go live together? No. Host to pick on. No wishes. There we go.
We're going to start filming
Huh? Yes, I'm done.
See you. See you later.
Yeah. I think you guys should sit down and get started.
We've got a...
Maybe introduce yourselves and we'll just wait for some questions. Huh?
Should we turn on the slider? Do that?
No.
The lighting.
I'm going to turn my ringer off.
Hey guys.
And we got to project. We got to talk loud.
All right.
Can you guys scooch in a little bit together? Yeah, there we go. All right. I think you're both in. Okay.
It's actually fairly fast.
Okay. Now we're good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Should we move closer to you?
No, you're good. I just want to be able to see both phones.
All right, so we're really going to have to project.
Okay.
That voice.
We're ready. All right.
All right, guys.
Maybe
Let me
introduce
go in.
yourselves. Yeah, go ahead. We're live.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah, you guys are live.
Hey, this is Dave from Riva Motorsports and Riva Racing.
This is Ryan from Shadow Six Racing. Today we're going to be talking to you guys about the Typhoon, and obviously, as you know, some of you may or may not, Riva Motorsports is our exclusive international distributor, and also produces most of the performance products that are on our vehicles through Riva Racing. So
That's correct. So Ryan obviously is the owner of Shadow Six, and he's handling the manufacturing of the vehicle. And my company, Riva Motorsports, is going to be doing the sales wing. We're going to be handling worldwide sales as far as U.S. market, international market, and also a lot of the components that my company division, Riva Racing, produces are performance parts that will be optionally available on the Shadow 6 vehicle. So we're here to answer questions. If you guys have questions, we're tuned in on TikTok and Instagram right now.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions, fire away, and Ryan and I will be happy to fill you guys in.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the Typhoon and...
Yeah, I guess for starters, I can answer some of the basic questions that people have asked online before. Have we ever flipped it? No. I actually went for one of the scariest rides in my life with this gentleman, where he reached speeds in excess of 80 miles per hour and then proceeded to make a hard left turn with sponsons all the way down. And now I feel like I'm prepared to travel to outer space in a rocket ship if I ever have to. That would be comfortable. But so no, if it didn't flip then, it's never going to flip.
Yeah, the vehicle is extremely stable, so I can vouch for that. As Ryan was saying, I've had the thing over 80 miles an hour and just turned it hard right or hard left, and she just turns like she's on rails. And Ryan's been doing extensive testing in the ocean and all kinds of surf conditions, which is a whole nother set of factors, and the stability is excellent.
So we have a question from J Palmer 5075. He wants to know price and lead time.
Good question.
Yeah, so, we're trying to get through things as quickly as we can, but one of the big issues we're facing is getting a supply of GP 1800 donor vehicles. Again, that was a big benefit that came to the table with working together with Riva, is that we're able to get the vehicles. But we're looking to start deliveries probably in the first to second quarter of next year. So in the beginning of 2023, we'll be delivering units. We expect them to retail around $250,000. Most of them will be heavily equipped, and happy to answer any other questions about why the price is a little higher than some people might expect, or about what the vehicle is or does.
And to back up what Ryan's saying, we are planning to deliver our first production vehicles in first or second quarter of next year, and a lot of that availability question mark we're saying first or second quarter has to do with Yamaha supplying the donor vehicles, because as you know, with what's going on in the world, the worldwide supply lines are disrupted, and the supply of personal watercraft that we're using to produce, that Ryan's using to produce the Shadow 6 vehicle, is a little bit up in the air right now. But they are coming through, and we feel that first or second quarter we can start filling orders, because we do have people that are lined up. We have a lot of inquiries that are interested in this vehicle. And as far as like Ryan was saying with the retail price, the price projection is about around $250. Obviously, things are changing constantly, materials are changing constantly, and that would be the base price. That's our target base, or Ryan's target base retail price, and it'll go up from there depending on what options are chosen.
I think the goal for us is always going to be to stay extremely high quality and make sure that every vehicle is built perfectly down to the last nut and bolt. And for us, our goal is to essentially be the Lamborghini of the ocean, or the Ferrari of the ocean. And I don't really see us moving into more of a mass market beyond simply high-end race-ready vehicles.
Very specialized vehicle.
Yeah.
Very specialized vehicle. I mean, the complete frame and suspension is all constructed out of titanium, and that gives a lightweight, very, very lightweight components, and obviously resistance to corrosion. It's not, the original frame of a side-by-side is made out of steel, powder-coated steel, which will rust when put in seawater. So Ryan's taken every precaution to make this vehicle corrosion resistant and the highest quality components.
So everything's titanium, carbon fiber. As most people know, it's a Meyer aftermarket wide body Polaris Razor body kit. We did that because the price would be well above $250,000 if we had to create our own injection molds, or produce our own body work. That is likely to happen in the future, maybe even in the near future, but the vehicle literally is built from scratch and not in any way still a Razor or still a GP 1800. The reality is titanium is not only important for corrosion, because you can throw it at the bottom, into the ocean, and you can sit there for 10 years and you won't have a speck of rust on titanium. And that's one benefit, but another is the weight savings. So the vehicle only weighs 302 pounds above the water line. So where the jet ski meets the water, essentially most of the weight of the vehicle, roughly 1,000 pounds per side, is below the water. So, as we talked a little bit about handling and turning at really high rates of speed, rolling isn't likely to happen because you'd have to lift another 1,000-pound ski out of the water entirely with a very light vehicle.
Any other?
Are you planning on making a back seat?
Yes, definitely planning on making a 4-seater. Goal number one, though, is get things moving
with the 2-seater.
With the 2-seater, and get deliveries taken care of. Try our hardest to keep up with demand that's already there.
And to clarify, the question was, are we planning to make is Brian planning to make a back seat? That would be a completely different craft to have the back seat. So a back seat cannot be added to the current craft. It would be a stretched frame and a completely different vehicle. So definitely 2023 is going to be the vehicle that has been showcased in the prototype videos out there, and a 4-seater would be sometime in the future.
Sure. Yep, exactly. Everything is in AutoCAD. We're probably about a week away from presenting a little bit of the work that we've done in AutoCAD to show people 3D range of motion, suspension, let people see that there's no binding, essentially what full range of travel is. But again, all of that's going to have to be updated to be able to create a four-seater and to make sure that the center of gravity is appropriately where it should be. Not a problem, but the reality is we have a challenge already of being able to make enough two-seaters.
Right.
It's probably a year or two away before we really get into designing a four-seater vehicle.
What's the production goal for next year? How many do you plan to produce or hope to produce?
We're looking to get 30 on board next year.
Yeah. 30 units is the goal, and that will be determined by material availability. Definitely, we definitely have the demand, the customer demand, but it's going to be strictly due to material availability.
That's a bit of a harsh reality, unfortunately. I wish we could get GP 1800s left and right, and I've had a number of people leave comments saying that they could replicate the vehicle for $20,000, and I would love to hire any of these people that are able to source brand new GP 200s and then create custom fabricated hulls and supply Fox 3.0 suspension and titanium frames and cages for $20,000 is just not a reality.
Everything is top shelf components.
The wave runners themselves, I don't know what detail is.
Yeah, you got $30,000 worth of watercraft at the beginning.
Okay, well, we don't have any questions right now. Maybe touch on the different upgrades or the different options.
Sure.
How many are there? Or?
Well, maybe just start from the beginning, just a description of the craft. For those of you who are just learning about the Shadow 6 vehicle, it basically, what Ryan has created here is a catamaran style watercraft with complete suspension. The hulls are PWC based, but they're completely carbon fiber, right?
Custom carbon composite.
Carbon composite hulls that are custom fabricated specifically for this vehicle, and then in them are Yamaha marine engines, which are Yamaha PWC engines, complete with Yamaha jet pumps, and then there is a full titanium suspension system that suspends a titanium cage, which is sort of a UTV style chassis, and the whole UTV chassis rides on top of these two watercraft hulls, so it's a catamaran style vehicle. It looks absolutely amazing. It turns heads. When Ryan pulls into a gas station to fuel these things, cars are stopping and cars are pulling over. It's an amazing sight to see one in real life, and even more impressive to drive it. When you get it on the water, it accelerates like a rocket ship. It has fantastic top speeds, over 80 miles an hour, with some of the Riva components on there, and the suspension works amazing. The suspension really works amazing.
So Hunter has a question. Have you all considered putting the new lower units on the ski? I could see it.
The new lower units.
The rotation.
I'm a little confused. Hunter is his name?
Hunter,
could you please tell us what lower units are you referring to?
Do you mean the driveline and components and motors?
It has the latest Yamaha engines, the latest Yamaha pumps. I guess, Hunter, if you can hear me.
Oh, he says from the 600S.
Is it a side by side?
The outboard lower units.
Oh, no, Hunter, these are this vehicle is jet propelled, so we're not using any outboard components. The driveline comes out of the Yamaha GP 1800 personal watercraft, and we don't want to have any lower units hanging down with propellers. We're using a jet drive system from the Yamaha personal watercraft.
So we can get very shallow water and handle incredibly well, and much shallower water than the boat would ever be able to get into. But we've also got the other benefit of being able to handle 6-foot waves without any issue and to maintain top speed, essentially like a Baja truck. And that's really the whole idea of the design, is to create a trophy truck for the ocean.
The vehicle will always be jet powered, and we're not considering any propeller outdrives or anything like that.
Zach wants to know if you can rent them out.
Not yet. It may happen in the future.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, at this point, there is enough demand just with customers that it would be tough to leave one sitting around for rentals.
Well, it would have to be done through a third party.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Ryan's business and my business, we don't rent vehicles, but you can rent a Lamborghini now and you can rent a Porsche. So I'm sure there's a good chance that somebody will put these exotic vehicles into service sometime in the future. But right now we're just trying to get them to the customers that want them so badly. But some of our inquiries have actually talked about renting or leasing or putting them on mega yachts, or so when you lease or charter a mega yacht, that these vehicles will be on board, but that would have to be a third party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soft Paws Rentals. If you guys have seen them, I think we've tagged them on quite a few things. But Soft Paws in West Palm Beach. Gene is the owner of the company, but
Has inquired.
most likely he'll be again one of the first people that'll be offering mainstream rentals for people in at least the Greater Palm Beach area.
At some point.
So Hunter has another question. Airtight model in the future, like a submarine?
We're always working on something, and absolutely the capability of traveling underwater is something of great interest to me. I'm looking to build something that's very fast, very small, and the challenge is building a craft that'll work appropriately to be able to see in the water that you're driving in. The challenge that I've seen in a lot of vehicles is just the ability to see out in front of you. So, I'm not looking to go very deep underwater, but yes, we're looking at doing that, as well as vehicles that are capable of flight, as well as amphibious tank-driven vehicles that will be electric.
Future projects or future
But
evolution of the brand.
Once it's in the design stage and things are kind of put in motion in my brain, they just keep on going until it happens. So that's what's in store for us.
Dave, Abe Creel said that you're the best in the business. Best parts in the business.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That was definitely a big selling point. From the second you walk into the dealership to delivery of the vehicle, every aspect is done top notch. And as somebody who's been a business owner for a while that thinks about marketing, branding, and experience for our customers, coming here is a very close representation of the way that I've always run my businesses, and so it's not an uncomfortable experience. You're more than welcome to come in and get information, but people smile and give you a quick nod. You're always a second away from somebody who's willing to answer a question for you, but zero pressure and zero kind of nagging you or standing over you if you're trying to check out a vehicle.
Friendly experience at Riva Motorsports. That's what we're always striving for. In fact, our goal is by late 2023, ideally, to have a Shadow 6 vehicle on the showroom floor that you can come see. At this point, they're all going to be pre-sold, so as soon as they come off the assembly line in 2023, in the first few quarters, they'll go right to their end users. But we hope to have one that you can come see here at our Pompano Beach showroom in late 2023. That's the goal at least.
Yeah, Dave corrected me. I told him that I was really excited for the day when we would have like 6 or 7 of these all lined up sitting in the loading bay, and he kind of looked at me like,
when's that ever going to happen? They're all pre-sold.
They're going right out the door.
But an exciting thing that we should talk about is that Ryan is currently building a unit for the SEMA show. SEMA, as you know, is the largest automotive innovation show in the world, and it takes place in Las Vegas. When is the date?
It's November 1st through 4th.
So early November, and there will actually be a Shadow 6 vehicle, pretty much production spec, on display in the Wet Sounds booth, right?
It will be, yeah.
So Wet Sounds is a partner that's working with Ryan's company. They do amazing audio systems, and there will be a Shadow 6 vehicle completely equipped with the optional Wet Sounds audio package on display in the Wet Sounds booth at SEMA.
It'll be pulling out all the stops, building the biggest, baddest, best version that we can. So it'll be a chance for people to see every last detail and finished work and everything that goes into the vehicle, and just how much of the vehicle really is substantially different from a traditional side-by-side. From start to finish, I finished designing it 7 years ago, and through multiple prototypes, I can tell you that it's not a good idea to try to turn traditional jet skis or wave runners into an AUV, and it doesn't make sense to use a side-by-side on top of them. And
It's all custom.
yeah, I would say yeah.
It looks like he just took a side-by-side and threw it on top of two personal watercraft, but there's so much more engineering that goes into it. There's the frames the titanium frames go into the PWC for the whole suspension system. It's pretty elaborate.
So April has a question. Sometimes in the video, it looks like the driver has to hold his shoulders and arms a little bit higher than what seems normal. Would it benefit by lowering the steering?
So a lot of that is me looking around for other people that are filming. So when I'm in a vehicle, there are a lot of times that there'll be multiple people out on personal watercraft that are filming us or filming the AUV. And so oftentimes they'll be on the other side of maybe one or two waves that are 5-6 feet tall. And so sometimes I'm looking just to make sure that I'm not going to run into them. Sometimes even in freshwater, when you see us cruising through the river, we're going through very narrow spaces, very shallow water on either side. And you really have to follow a very straight line when you're doing that. But it certainly can handle it no problem.
I'd like to add something to that because I've driven the vehicle extensively, and the seating height and the steering wheel height are perfect. So the way he set this thing up, you're in the same height that you would be in a UTV. But like Ryan said, if you're in a surf condition and there's big waves, you're going to want to get up higher to look over the wave, or if you're, so sometimes when you see these videos of him going like this, it's just because he's trying to get up higher to look over something that normally isn't normally there. So by raising the seat, that really would not solve it. That's not the option. He's at the perfect height.
Yeah, the seat actually has suspension built in underneath it. So you've not only got the Baja style suspension, but you've also got seat suspension. And again, another thing is when we're traveling through the river at 80 miles an hour, it looks like you're going to crash into a bank most of the time because you're coming up on it so quickly. So you've got to be looking out ahead of you and ready to turn.
Yeah, that's
but
when he's like
a lot of times, I've got to duck my head around to either see where other people are or just to see where the next curve or corner is and make sure I don't go running into the side of the bank at 80 miles an hour.
CJC, how many of you are there that are building the vehicles? Maybe touch on who the team is and what they do and how many of you.
Yeah, so there's the vehicles are produced by multiple people. So Racetech Titanium manufactures all of the suspension, all of the nuts, bolts, the cage, everything you see on the vehicle.
All the titanium framework
comes entirely from Racetech.
And Racetech has a pretty large staff. I'm not exactly sure. They're our vendor. Yeah. They're Ryan's vendor, I should say, for the framework and the suspension.
Yep. So we all work together, obviously. Then there's Racetech, and then there's Hamilton's Customs and Shadow Six, and so we all work very closely together because Hamilton's Customs is actually building all of the carbon composite racing hulls and doing the swaps and the transfer of driveline and motors from the stock vehicles to the new hulls.
Yeah.
But essentially we get a predominantly assembled vehicle from Racetech that is full titanium and ready to go. From there, we're taking bolt-on suspension.
I think another way to answer this question is right now, because Ryan is building prototypes for SEMA and doing development. There's about 6 to 8 guys, would you say, that are actually doing the assembly. Once all the components are there, and the components come from Racetech, and the components come from Fox shock absorbers, he has a dedicated crew of 6 to 8 people that do the assembly of these prototypes. But as this project moves into production, that staff will be ramped up. It's still going to be small though, because this is a very custom, high-tech,
and you need the right people
race.
To do it.
They're building 30 units a year, and they're going to be built 1 or 2 at a time. I don't know, it'll probably ramp up to 20 or so people at that point.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, I think a goal for the future when things return to normal, as people say, I'd love to see 75 units at least a year, going out the doors. But
he has one more question.
Sure.
Why not have an adjustable steering wheel or have this seat adjustable?
The the adjustable steering wheel is largely based on the design of the system. So, obviously you've got to turn 2 skis at the same time. And so it's not a traditional steering wheel where you've got a column or anything of that nature. So, so far it's been a situation where we prototyped, designed, and built the steering system, and so far there hasn't been any request or anybody who's had any desire to change.
That wants a different place.
I think ergonomically so far everybody's been pretty happy with the way things are, the way they come.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of similar to a boat or a wave runner. The thing is, you also don't want anything coming loose if you're jumping over an 8-foot wave and coming down and landing hard.
The seats are hard bolted in place, right? There's no track system on them.
There's no track system on
Yeah,
them.
the seats are bolted in place.
And a lot of that is also keeping the center of gravity in place and making sure that, again, as you're traveling at extremely high rates of speed, everything is where it should be weight-wise in terms of its distribution on the watercraft on either side.
Okay, on TikTok, JRod1995 is ready to buy one right now. Who do I send my money to?
Well, I can answer that.
This guy.
If you go to shadow6racing.com, right?
Yeah.
And 6 is spelled out S-I-X. Shadow6racing.com. Go into the contact us and send us an email that you're an interested buyer, and we'll have our sales manager follow up with you and get you on the list.
Okay, one question from CJC. Excellent, super high tech. How long do you think it will take before the vehicles are affordable for middle class people, if ever?
I think Ryan addressed that earlier, that there's no plans to make a budget model. It's really expensive to make this thing. I mean, at this time, it's...
I think the big problem is just any materials, any stainless is going to degrade over time, even if people are in freshwater. For me, I think the titanium, the certainty of being able to keep up with the elements and maintain safety for people is priority number one. So the last thing I'd ever want to see is one of these vehicles end up like a wave runner might behind somebody's house, as we have all the time in Florida, where it sort of falls apart slowly but surely. But the last thing I would want is somebody getting a bargain vehicle or a budget vehicle where we weren't taking the appropriate precautions and having something come apart or having something get hurt because of a failure of any type in the vehicle.
Yeah. He doesn't want to compromise the quality in any way. Like, as Ryan's saying, our first goal is to bring a very high quality race quality vehicle to the market, and that's what Ryan's doing. Yeah, he's not saying never, but it's not right now in the product plan to design a less expensive vehicle. And right now we're focused on bringing our first generation vehicle to market, and it's just amazing. It's the high end vehicle, and that's our target right now. That's our
the
target
other issue
market.
then is also weight. You're talking probably 1,000 pounds bare minimum. Just in the stainless steel cage of Polaris Razor or something along those lines.
Mild steel, yeah.
So I think, even if you were to take that and use a nanotechnology coating, I'm still not sure that it would be safe in the long run, and it would be hard to test to figure out where you've got potential failures coming or whatnot.
That's why he's using titanium, which is an expensive material, but it's amazing.
$40,000.
Okay, how do you account for longer arms and legs? I can guarantee pro athletes are going to want them once they see them. Can you make them adjustable?
Well, the thing is, you're not using a foot pedal, so it hasn't really been an issue for anybody because all of the controls are actually on the steering wheel. So there's plenty of leg room. And the seat is essentially as far back as it will go. So if an athlete was able to fit in a traditional Polaris Razor, they've got all of the same leg room that you would with the seat extended all of the way back.
That's a good point. There are no leg controls. Typically, in an automobile, when you're bringing the seat back and forth, it's usually to get the your ratio to the pedals, and so it's just really your arms, which you have a lot of adjustability in how close your arms are to you between the seat and the steering wheel. So we've had a wide variety of different people. We've had
I think Kenny's a pretty tall guy.
Yeah, well over 6,
Yeah.
you know, mid 6'5", 6'6", down to some much shorter people in there, and with ergonomics are really
I
good.
think Hamilton is maybe like 3.5 feet tall. And he's able to drive. We're thinking about getting telephone books brought
All right.
from this.
Any plans for racing leagues?
Absolutely. That is my dream for pushing us beyond me just having the vehicle that I wanted for myself to have fun behind my house to going into a full-scale venture in mass production, which I didn't see myself doing, but you know, in realizing how many people it took to make it possible, we decided to do that.
All right, guys, we have about 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Hold on, one question. Art, will Whammer be building every hull by hand, or will you get some type of big company production going?
So far, everything is done by hand, and each haul is around 100 man-hours.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of work that goes into it. It also has to be very precise. So, you know, we are looking at some different ways to, you know, I suppose more efficiently create hauls, potentially bring down rate of hauls slightly. But at this point in time, there's not a big impetus or reason to head down that path. So.
Okay, we have 1 minute left, so should you guys wrap it up?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you guys for your questions, and thank you for tuning in. If you have any other questions, you can always hit us up at Shadow Six Racing. Shadow Six.
Shadow Six
Oh, no,
Racing.com.
is it, oh, did I say? I might not have put the racing on last time, did I?
Yeah, you did.
All right, Shadow Six SIX Racing.com,
Yeah.
and we have a contact form there. And Ryan can answer any questions, or Riva Motorsports as a sales wing can answer any questions regarding the purchase or reserving a vehicle.
Certainly. You know, and over the next few months, you know, our plan is to show a little bit of the build for SEMA, show some of what goes into producing one of the vehicles, showing a little bit more of the build process. I know a lot of people had asked about seeing that in the initial release videos. The truth is, at that point in time, there was no intention for anybody to be watching videos of a prototype vehicle. That sort of happened by accident. And especially because we already had demand before ever posting video. So,
Thanks again.
Reach out, but yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.